And you went to public school, or you later started going to public school, so you were a real contrast.
Yeah.
It's probably a small town public school.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was an experience. So I remember my first day of kindergarten, because my parents dropped me off in like a dhoti, which is like the traditional robes, and I went to school with what they call tilak.
No
so
way.
You put like the clay on your forehead.
Your parents were awesome, man.
They were
gangster.
complete renegades, and like they didn't give a fuck what anybody think, because they were just in their own element. They were in their own world, and they believed what they were doing was right. So maybe they were a little too open-minded about what other people would think. So they kind of tossed me to the wolves on that one, and like I understood very early that I was different. And kids are brutally honest. They'll let you know that you are different right away. They'll ask you questions. They'll make fun of you. And I dealt with that a lot growing up, and especially when it came to the cafeteria and what I ate. Because the older I got, I always brought my lunch to school because I was raised vegetarian. So my parents would always cook for me. They didn't want me eating public school lunch. And I would always get questions. I would open up my lunchbox, and curry and cumin and all these really Indian smelling foods would come out of. You can't hide those smells, It's like it'll smell up a whole room. So every time I open up my lunchbox, all the kids would be like, "Ugh, what is that?" And I was like, "I don't know. It's just good." And I'd eat my mom's cooking. And then as I got older, the question would come, be like, "Why don't you eat hamburgers? Why don't you eat hot dogs?" And I would be honest, and I'd be like, "No, I don't eat animals. I don't eat meat." And then they would start asking more questions, and then I would feel like something was wrong with me because I was different, but I understood that this is how it was for me and my family. Like I never really questioned it. I was okay with it, but other people weren't. And that's when I started becoming more apprehensive about sharing more of my background, who I was, what my philosophies were, and how I viewed the world, because I would always be met with such resistance that it made me feel insecure. So I kind of became a really good chameleon. Like I grew up with the same set of kids all throughout high school, and I guarantee you those that are probably listening to this interview, if they ever came across this interview, wouldn't even believe me if I told you that.
That you were a Hare Krishna,
Yeah.
or that you were a vegetarian.
They knew I was a vegetarian,
Right,
but they never knew why.
Okay. Interesting. So this developed your character into this kind of two different lives. Did this help you in any way now, in what you do and your pursuits and everything?
Definitely. I mean, the more you get tested on your character, the stronger it becomes. It can either break you or make you. And I felt like it made me understand who I was a lot earlier on as a person, and made me accept that people were different. And people have a different way of living, and sometimes you're not always going to understand that person, where they come from. So that's why it taught me compassion and being understanding that not everybody is going to view the world the same way that you do, because we're products of our environment. I just happen to be raised in this environment.
Otherwise, you'd be a good old boy.
You never know.
Right.
You never know.
Right. So maybe you don't judge them as much?
I don't judge. I try not to judge anybody. I really do. I try my best to really understand that we're all different, and we have to accept people. The moment we judge somebody for not understanding them, it's just a reflection of your own insecurity or your own level of consciousness when it comes to being open-minded. Because the moment we think we know it all, it's like the number one indicator that you don't know anything. So growing up, I learned how to be a chameleon and deflect those conversations really good. Like when we go to parties, they would order pepperoni pizza. I always just ask, hey, can you order a cheese pizza too? Or we'd be at barbecues and everybody would be grilling up, burgers and whatnot. I would just make a sandwich with just cheese on it, and make a grilled cheese. I kind of got really good at hiding it too. Or when people did ask me directly, why don't you eat meat? I'd be like, I just don't like it. I'll just lie and be like, it's just not for me. I just don't like it. But I just wanted to fit in. I just wanted to be normal.
Do you like the fact you don't have to do that anymore?
I still have to do it. I mean, I still have to defend myself.
Okay. But you don't have to lie.
Yeah, I don't have to lie. That's
Right.
that's the difference. Is that I feel like with growing up, you stop giving a fuck what people think. Or some people do, and you can tell right away who those people are. And I've learned how to stop caring what other people think about me. And it's really empowered me because I never talked about this stuff growing up. I never talked about my family history, my background, because I was afraid of being judged. But who are we? You know, we're all so unique and we all have such a unique story, then why not be proud of it? You know, it makes you who you are. And growing up in an environment definitely made who I am today.